A lot of people that are targeting Florida to buy a home are looking for either golf or gulf. That's what I always say, golf or gulf, meaning GOLF versus GULF. This would be specific to Southwest Florida. Obviously, on the other coast, that's going to be an ocean. A lot of times people will refer to the Gulf of Mexico as the ocean. We call it the Gulf on this side, and then on the other side, it's the ocean. So many people are looking for a golfing lifestyle, and their goal is literally to golf every day. Many times, every single week, I have people ask me to send them a list of either bundled golf communities, which many times people don't understand exactly what that is. I'm going to talk to you about that today, so you're very crystal clear on what bundled golfing is versus equity or non-equity golfing. Now, we all know what public courses are, and there are some really nice public courses in Southwest Florida and even throughout the state of Florida. The Villages, if you love to golf, you can golf constantly nonstop there. But if you want to live on the coast, and specifically the southwest coast of Florida, there are a lot of really nice public courses that are easily accessible. Before we jump out of public courses, I'll just tell you, most of them have doubled recently in cost to golf. So I would say, and they're higher during season, but in the off season, which we're in the off season right now. So for example, some of the courses, Bonita Fairways is one, that's a cute little course. I'm talking about for golfers they like to have a good time. They want to golf, but they're not serious golfers. So something like that, a couple years ago, that was $35 to play, and now it's a little bit under $100. And there's some yes, this, but not that. You know, you can choose a different tee time, or you can play 9 holes or 18 holes. But for the most part, that's about what it's running. And I would say that might be the lowest. There's a couple other courses, like there's one at Stony Brook that's really nice. Like a lot of people like to play that one. Arrowhead is another one in North Naples. There are a lot of golf courses out there. There's even a couple that run like $200-300 to play, which at that point I would say you're probably much more of a serious golfer if you're spending that kind of money. But outside of public courses, we have bundled golf and we have equity or private equity golf courses. So let's dive into that. I'm going to explain to you the differences and maybe some of the advantages and disadvantages of one or the other. If golfing is important to you in your overall Florida lifestyle, this should help clarify things. All right, so let's start with private golfing. So that means that you're moving into a community where there's a private club that you can join. Now, some of these communities, you actually have to have the golfing allowed with the real estate. So sometimes it'll say you can only have a social membership, a sports membership. Like, I'll give you an example. Grandiza would be one. They have lovely facilities. Their clubhouse, their community area, it's really, really nice. Their pool area is very nice, but you have to join golf, and sometimes golf, I'm not speaking specific to Grandiza because I don't know their current numbers, but it's not uncommon for joining a private club to be anywhere from $100 to as high as $250,000.
Oh my God!
That initial upfront amount, and then you have dues, and then also you have HOAs. So it is pretty expensive if you're looking at private golfing. But the advantage to it is that the club is a little bit more exclusive. So you have less members, which means you have more access to tee times. You can get the tee times you want a little bit better. There's a little bit more of a relaxed play because they're not trying to pump so many people through that golf course. So that is one benefit to it. And there are a lot of courses out there that are private. By the way, before I get too deep into this video, if you want a list of the private courses and the bundled golf courses, reach out to me. My contact information is always down below, and I will get you out a list of those courses if that's helpful for you in your real estate search. Now private clubs are going to be a little bit more prestigious, exclusive. They're going to offer a little higher level of amenities. What do I mean by that? Not always, but usually the pool is going to be nicer, and that's important to a lot of people because sometimes you have a situation where the wife doesn't want to golf, she wants to hang out by the pool. That happens pretty often. So usually the amenities are nicer. Better staffed club, nicer locker rooms, just overall amenities are nicer in the private clubs. You're going to see these courses typically very well maintained, and that is because they're appealing to golfers that play at a higher level. Private clubs are going to invest a lot higher in spa amenities, attendance, things like that. You're just going to get more. In the bundled golf communities, you tend to not get that. You know, people that trainers, good quality trainers, massage therapists, lots of other spa amenities typically are available in a private club, and they also invest very, very heavily in fine dining. So you're gonna have a dedicated chef. A lot of times the meals are top tier. Now I know we're talking about golfing, but the other advantage to private clubs is, as I touched on in the beginning, you can customize your experience. So maybe you buy a house in X area, let's just use Grandiza as an example. You buy a house there, and everything generally, by the way, will fall under golf. So golf is going to be your highest expense. So let's say you pay $150,000 for golf. You're getting everything underneath that. So you're getting the restaurant, you're getting the pickleball, the tennis, the swimming, the sports membership, the social membership. You get everything if you buy golf. But under that, and this is the way it's generally broken down, is you'll have golf, and then you'll have a sports membership, which might allow the pool, the fitness room, classes, things like that, anything sports related. So you'd have that next, and then down from that is usually a social membership. Now, most communities will require the social membership. Why? Because they want the club to stay solvent. They don't want the club to go broke. You know, if people don't have to join, that a lot of times, like way back when, Spanish Wells. So I'll just give you an example. Years and years ago, Spanish Wells, they've got golfing and they have a club. They used to have it to where you didn't have to join at all. And what ended up happening years and years ago, people didn't join and the club kind of went belly up. So that can happen, and that's why most communities nowadays require at a minimum the social membership, and that's going to get you sometimes the pool, but not always, so you want to read that. But it'll definitely get you the restaurant, things like that, the social experience. All right, let's move to bundled golf. So bundled golf is exactly what it sounds like. It means that the golfing is bundled into the fees when you purchase the real estate. Now, this is really important. Let's just use Bonita National. That is a bundled golf community. Esplanade, bundled golf community. Not every door offers golf. So you might see social membership, or you see golf membership available, full golf membership. So you might say, well, wait a minute, full golf, what's not full golf? There are some communities that will offer limited golfing. So even Bonita National, if you only have a social membership in the area where you're buying because it's locked out and what you're buying doesn't offer the golf membership, then sometimes they will offer you what is almost like a partial membership. And what it means is you can pay to golf in the off season because the course is not crowded. So Definitely, if you are targeting real estate with bundled golfing, make sure that the real estate that you're purchasing actually does offer that golf membership. Because if it doesn't, you're not going to be able to go in there and finesse your way into getting it done. I hear it. It's really common with my beloved clients from New Jersey will tell me that they're going to talk the director into letting them have the golfing. My friend, it is not going to happen. It doesn't work that way. So make sure that the golfing is available. Now, here's the thing. This is the downfall sometimes to bundled golf. If you're planning to only be at your property during high season, January, February, March, just like everybody else, you might have trouble getting on the course. So most of the bundled golf communities, in fact, I have not run into one that isn't on the Chelsea point system. So what does that mean? That means the more you golf, the more you can't golf. So if you want to golf every day, you might take some bad tee times. You could probably get it done, but you might take like a 3 o'clock tee time. You might get those bad tee times that nobody wants, but those courses are extremely crowded. Bundled golf is extremely crowded. It's popular, and it's kind of for the golfer that's in that mid tier, a serious golfer, but not somebody that wants private golfing. You know, the private golfers generally are people that will travel the US to play different courses. So that's kind of the difference, that it's not somebody who's at the level of public. They're willing to pay. This is another thing, willing to pay the fees. So bundled golf fees are pretty high. What's going to happen is on a house or a condo, whatever it is you buy with bundled golf, I would say anticipate by the time it's all said and done, your HOA fees, your condo fees, and then the fees involved in the golfing is going to run you probably between $900 and $1,200-$1,300 per month. That's about what it runs, because there's going to be things like you have to spend a certain amount at the club. You have to spend a certain amount, eat and drink. Some of them charge you golf cart fees. Also, another thing I want to mention, on these courses, both private and bundled, not all of them will allow you to put your own personal golf cart on the greens. A lot of them will not, or on the course. A lot of them won't allow that because, you know, they just want to make sure that everything looks good. So now, bundled communities are really good about having a pool and restaurants and pickleball and tennis. They will have fitness. Most of them have some kind of spa service, but it's going to be on a little bit of a lesser level. It's going to be kind of less exclusive, but still nice, you know, still very nice. Not anything to feel like, you know, I'm getting the JV on this. I'm getting a bad version of what I really want. No, not at all. Very, very nice, little more crowded. The other thing with bundled golf is the pools tend to be really, really crowded. Like anytime I'm showing property in Bonita National, it is standing room only in that pool. And most of those communities do have satellite pools, you know, little pools that come within the community where you bought, but they're small. They're like a postage stamp. So a lot of people like to go up to the club pool, and that Bonita National, I'll use that for an example, that pool is big and it has a waterfall and it's really nice. Standing room only, because everybody is doing that. So it's just a much more crowded situation, and I've had quite a few people that move from bundled golf to private golfing for that reason. But, you know, again though, your fees are going to go, I mean, literally in bundled golf, you don't have that initial downstroke, by the way. So that $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 that you pay for the private club, you do not pay that in bundled golf. So a lot of times people feel like, yeah, you know, but I'm only going to be there a few months out of the year. So in no world am I going to pay that amount for private golfing. I will deal with the crowd. It'll be perfectly fine. So those are the differences. Generally speaking, there are a few more, but that gets you started on the differences between private golf and bundled golf. If you have any questions, my contact information is always down in the description box. I'm happy to help.